1949, George Orwell had a vision of the future. Today, that vision is still a best-selling novel, and his prophecy remains as terrifying as ever.
Michael Radford's adaptation of 1984 got to be one of the most overlooked films in modern film discussion. I never see anyone rank it as one of their favourite films, or anyone talk about it at all. It's bizarre to me, as I genuinely believe it's one of the most successful films in cultivating that resonating feeling of dread and hopelessness. It illustrates its world in such a distinct and unrelenting way that you can't help but get stuck in it every time you watch it. There was a lot of talent involved in the making of this film. John Hurt, obviously, who is one of my favourite actors of all time, who gives an incredibly raw performance of Winston. Roger Deakins as DOP, this being one of his first big projects, captures the world eloquently. But as so is often overlooked, the editor, Tom Priestley, who you might know from his editing of Deliverance, really knits the whole film together in an incredibly unique way. 1984 presents itself in a typical three-act narrative structure, but its scene-by-scene editing is very purposeful. Tom Priestley demonstrates this by adapting an unconventional cutting style to amplify the inner thoughts and feelings of the characters. When you read a script, a great writer will use subtext in his writing to convey deeper emotions without patronising an audience by spelling it out to them. In many ways, great editing is the same. You don't want to tell the audience what to feel, you want to guide them into understanding the meaning for themselves. An example, a lot of modern mainstream editing can often be boiled down to what must be conveyed in the scene for it to at a minimum make sense for the audience. You need to see someone's reaction to a certain line that's poignant to them. You need to see a character reach for a knife. These conventional techniques of just laying a scene out beat by beat will successfully tell you a story at a basic level, but in reality you are barely scratching the surface of what can be achieved when you really embrace the creative influence an editor can have on a story. Most often this rears its head in television editing, as the focus is usually on the writing and performances rather than the intricate style or the technical aspects. That's typically the reason why you instinctively know when you are watching a film and television episode. Television is usually far more optimized and sticks to the fundamentals rather than going the risky route by developing a style which could alienate the more general audiences they are looking to attract. What I love so much about the editing of this film is its frugal usage of the cut. The limiting number of cuts in a scene is often attributed to the slowing of pacing, which is usually the case. But another byproduct is that it tunes you into the film's world and particularly the character the shot is focused on. You get to capture the raw moments which really fleshes out the character's mannerisms, making them feel more real in the process. The editing is unwavering and brutally honest. Certain types of cuts are usually given a name. Jump cut and J-cut, for example. There's a type of cut which is used a lot in 1984, which I'm not sure has a name yet, but it should. In the conversational scenes of the film, usually the very last cut of the scene will often present the aftermath of the conversation.
6079 Smith W. Yes, you. Bend lower. You're not trying. Watch me. There, brother. That's what I want. Anyone under 45 is perfectly capable of touching his toes. I'm 39 and I've had 4 children. We don't all have the privilege of fighting in the front line. Remember our boys on the Malabar front. Just think what they have to put up with.
It's such a small detail, but the last cut of the scene when we return to Winston before transitioning to the next scene is at the exact frame-perfect length to me. Small details like this are massively important in creating a raw, natural feeling which allows you to get more sucked into the film's world. The fact that we stay on the shot of Winston as he is exercising even when he's left the frame. It could have easily been edited shot reverse shot, each time Winston leaves the frame cutting back to the instructor, but this would have made the scene far too fast for the emotions they're trying to convey. One thing 1984's editing is so good at is how well it aligns us to the viewpoint of Winston, staying on his shots far longer than those of other characters, even when for most other films, it would make more sense to cut away to see the movements that are contextual to the scene. Another great example of this is the first scene at the canteen.
Heavy machine guns, 6 million rifle grenades, 9 million Perry pineapple pin grenades, and 1.4 million lightweight frigate-launching anti-tank rocket projectors. Food production is also up.
How's the Newspeak committee?
3.5.
Working overtime?
Butter, 2%. Milk, 6%.
Plus big wastage is an adjective.
8%. Mutton, 3%.
Plus big problem is timing the language to scientific advance.
Pork, 3%.
Yes.
9%.
It's a beautiful thing, the destruction of words.
Sugar, 2.4%. Flour,
You won't have seen the dictionary, 10th edition yet, Smith.
margarine, 7.5%.
It's that thick.
Coffee, 8%.
The 11th edition will be that thick.
6%. Bread, 7%.
We see Winston pour his drink, sit and think, and even whilst the other character is speaking, we still remain on him. Conventional editing practice for a scene like this would be to either begin on a wide to introduce a new setting and geography of the room, or at the very least cut to the other characters earlier. However, beginning on Winston and staying on him for such a length of time further instills the audience's alignment with his perspective. We start to see the world through the eyes of Winston. I don't want to show any more of this film to risk spoiling it for those of you who haven't seen it yet. I really do recommend this one though, so check it out if you get a chance, and let me know what you think about the editing.